Hello and welcome to Annie's Short Stories. I hope you enjoy this story. I'm going to try and upload a new story each day. The Unseen of Braiding. Holly Arnold stood at the edge of Braiding Down, the crisp sea breeze tugging at her coat as she gazed over the patchwork of fields and winding lanes below. The Isle of Wight had always been her escape from the monotony of city life, a place where history whispered through ancient woodlands and the cliffs seemed to hum with stories long forgotten. But today something was different. The air was heavy, almost watchful, as though the land itself were holding its breath. The reason for her visit was an enigmatic letter she'd received a week ago, scrawled in trembling handwriting and signed only with the initials M.B. M.S. Arnold. There is a matter of great urgency at the Priory ruins in Braiding. The monks they guard something dangerous. Please come. Her journalist instincts flared at the mystery. The Priory was a local curiosity, its crumbling walls barely visible under a shroud of ivy and time. Few ventured there, and even fewer spoke of its history. She had spent the week researching, but found little beyond vague mentions of its dissolution in the 1500s and murmurs of ghostly monks who walked its grounds at night. As the shadows lengthened, Holly arrived at the ruins. The sight was eerily still, the silence punctuated only by the rustling of leaves. She stepped through the arched doorway of the crumbled chapel, her boots crunching on broken stone. A faint scent of damp earth and aged wood filled the air. Sunlight filtered through the gaps in the structure, casting fractured beams that illuminated the nave. Then she saw it. A figure in a tattered habit stood at the altar, its face obscured by the hood. Holly froze, every instinct screaming at her to retreat. But the figure raised a hand, and in its skeletal grasp it held a rolled parchment. "Would take it," a voice rasped. The parchment hovered toward her as though propelled by an unseen force. Her fingers trembled as she took it, the paper strangely warm. Unfurling the scroll, Holly's eyes scanned the archaic Latin script. Though her grasp of the language was rudimentary, she deciphered enough to understand its chilling contents, a warning of an ancient seal buried beneath the priory, a seal that imprisoned something far older and far darker than the monks themselves. "What is this?" she whispered. The monk's hooded head turned slightly, revealing a face that was not entirely human. Hollow eye sockets glowed faintly, and his jaw moved with a creaking sound. It must not break. A sudden rumbling beneath her feet interrupted the moment. The ground shook violently, and a low, guttural roar echoed from the depths below. Holly staggered back, clutching the parchment. The monk's form began to flicker like a candle flame in a draught. "It awakens." The figure vanished, leaving Holly alone in the ruins. Panic surged through her, but she forced herself to focus. If the seal was breaking, she needed to find it and repair it. But how? She scoured the parchment, her eyes catching a phrase she could translate. Terror sank to holy ground. Her gaze darted to the ruined altar. If there was a place to begin, it was there. Holly dropped to her knees and pushed aside the debris, her hands raw and dirt-streaked. Beneath the rubble, she uncovered a stone slab carved with intricate symbols. At its center was a circular indentation, as if something was meant to fit there. A faint whispering filled the air, growing louder, a cacophony of voices urging her onward. Desperately, she searched the surrounding area until her fingers brushed against something cold and metallic. She unearthed a tarnished medallion, its design matching the symbols on the slab. With trembling hands, she placed the medallion into the indentation. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a blinding light erupted from the slab, and the whispers turned to agonized screams. The ground steadied, and the roaring below ceased as abruptly as it had begun. But before she could catch her breath, the light coalesced into a shape, a figure of pure energy, clad in the robes of an ancient monk. It pointed a glowing hand toward the far end of the chapel, where a staircase spiraled downward into darkness that seemed to swallow the light. Below. "The first seal is repaired." Holly hesitated, her heart pounding. She descended the staircase, her phone's flashlight casting an arrow beam into the suffocating black. The air grew colder with every step, and the walls were slick with moisture. At the bottom, she found a vast chamber, its walls covered in carvings depicting battles between figures in monks' robes and monstrous entities with twisted forms. In the center of the room lay another altar, this one larger and more elaborate. A second medallion rested atop it, but as Holly approached, a deafening roar erupted. From the shadows emerged a creature unlike anything she had ever imagined. It stood on two legs, but had the hulking frame of a beast, its eyes glowing red and its claws scraping the stone. "You are too late," it growled. Holly's mind raced. She grabbed the medallion, and the creature lunged. She dove out of the way, narrowly avoiding its swipe. The parchment. She remembered the first seal had needed both the medallion and the symbols. She scanned the carvings on the walls, frantically searching for a clue. A phrase etched into the stone caught her eye, "Inama Naminus." With no other option, she shouted the words, holding the medallion aloft. Light erupted from the artifact, searing the creature. It let out a howl of agony as the light engulfed it, reducing it to ash. The ground rumbled again, but this time Holly knew what to do. She placed the medallion into the altar, and a second wave of light spread through the chamber. The carvings glowed, and the rumbling ceased. Exhausted, Holly climbed back to the surface. As she emerged into the night, the parchment once again changed. New lines had appeared, the seals are reforged, but the danger remains. Prepare for what lies ahead. Holly stared at the priory, its ancient stones bathed in moonlight. The unseen guardians of Brading had chosen her, and she knew her journey was far from over. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed this story. Please don't forget to like, and even better, like and subscribe. Thank you very much, and I hope you have had a great day.